My name is Lily Langworth, and on December 12th, 2023, my life ended for exactly 7 minutes and 23 seconds. During that time, I experienced something extraordinary, something that I can no longer keep to myself. I was shown truths about the future by Jesus Christ, truths I've been compelled to share. What you're about to hear may challenge everything you think you know, but to understand why this matters, you need to know who I was before that moment. I was a typical teenager, living a comfortable life in Seattle. Good grades, volleyball captain, parents with successful careers in tech. My biggest concerns revolved around exams and high school crushes. I had everything I thought I needed. But nothing prepared me for what happened that day and how it would completely transform my understanding of life, death, and what comes next. On paper, we were the ideal Christian family. Every Sunday, we were at Hillcrest Community Church, 3rd row from the front, right side. I was involved in everything: youth group, the worship team, and leading Bible studies for middle school girls. But the truth? My faith was shallow. I was more focused on appearances, on social media likes for my church posts, than on building a genuine relationship with God. That Tuesday started like any other December day in Seattle: gray skies, damp streets, and me rushing out the door for early volleyball practice. Mom had agreed to drop me off on her way to work, but I was annoyed she wouldn't stop at Starbucks for my iced caramel macchiato. "Lily, we're already running behind," she said as we navigated through the morning traffic. I barely responded, scrolling through my phone as usual, half tuned into the Christian radio station Mom always played. The roads were slick, the morning routine mundane. At the intersection of Pine and 5th Avenue, I was texting a friend about a school project when everything changed. The last thing I remember was Mom's sharp intake of breath and the screech of brakes. I glanced up just in time to see a delivery truck run the red light, its driver glued to his phone. There was the deafening crunch of metal, a jolt of chaos, and then nothing. What happened next is hard to put into words. How do you describe something that doesn't fit within the limits of human understanding? But I'll try, because what I experienced in those 7 minutes and 23 seconds wasn't just for me. It's a message for everyone willing to listen. The first thing I noticed was silence. One moment there was screaming and shattering glass. The next, everything was still. I wasn't in pain. I wasn't scared. I was outside of myself, watching the accident unfold from above. I saw the crumpled remains of our car, first responders rushing to help, and my own body lying broken on the pavement. Mom was alive, injured but moving, being helped by firefighters. But me? I was motionless. Instead of fear, I felt peace. Complete, overwhelming peace, like I was being held by something far greater than myself. And then I saw the light. This wasn't just light, it was alive. It pulsed with love, understanding, and power. Words fail to capture it. Imagine the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. It doesn't even come close. As I moved toward it, I heard music. Not just any music. This was perfection. It filled everything, resonating in ways I can't explain. Imagine every choir on earth singing in harmony, joined by voices you've never heard before, creating a sound so beautiful it felt like it could carry you into eternity. And then I saw him. People always ask, what did Jesus look like? But trying to describe him is like trying to capture eternity in a single word. He wasn't just a figure, he was presence itself. His eyes held the depth of galaxies. Yet when he looked at me, I felt seen, completely, wholly, and utterly loved. I felt more alive in his gaze than I'd ever felt in life. "Lily," he said, and the sound of my name and his voice was unlike anything I'd ever experienced. It was a melody, familiar yet infinitely profound, like I'd been waiting my entire life to truly hear it What I'm about to show you isn't just for you, he said. It's for your generation, the ones who will face the greatest deception and the greatest opportunity in human history. What followed wasn't something I simply saw. It was something I experienced. It was as though the truth was being etched directly into my soul. Jesus revealed visions of the near future, glimpses of what is to come. What I witnessed was both breathtaking and deeply unsettling. He showed me how my generation, Gen Z, and those coming after us would be uniquely targeted. We are the digital natives. We are the ones who've never known life without smartphones, social media, and constant connectivity. That's why we would be the most vulnerable. The same tools that connect us would be weaponized against us, drawing us further from truth and into deception. But within that vulnerability, he also revealed a profound calling, a chance to rise, resist, and reclaim what is real. Watch carefully, Jesus said, gesturing toward what appeared to be a holographic display suspended in the air. This is how it begins.
Before me, I saw teenagers, kids who looked just like my friends, excitedly lining up to get the latest tech in town. It didn't look sinister or threatening. In fact, it was beautiful, a tiny, iridescent chip that shimmered like a rainbow. The excitement was palpable. TikToks flooded the internet with kids showing off their new chips, boasting about how they could pay for things with a wave of their hand, access social media instantly, and never worry about losing their phone or wallet again. It will begin with convenience, Jesus said, his voice weighted with sorrow. Your generation craves authenticity and connection. They will sell this as the ultimate way to express who you are, to stay connected to the people and things you love most. The vision shifted, and I saw how quickly it would escalate. At first, it was influencers leading the charge, the trendsetters with millions of followers, flaunting their chipped hands like fashion statements. Then, schools began incentivizing students with special programs and privileges for those who got the chip. Soon, universities required it for campus access and registration. Over time, life without the chip became nearly impossible. Access to jobs, banking, healthcare, even basic services was cut off for those who refused. What struck me hardest was seeing Christian influencers and even youth pastors promoting it. It's just technology, they said with confidence. It's not the mark of the beast. No one's being asked to deny Christ. They twisted scripture, reassuring their audiences that accepting the chip was not only harmless, but even responsible, even loving. The vision darkened. Social media platforms began censoring any content warning against the chip. Posts raising questions were flagged as misinformation and removed. Accounts of Christian creators speaking out were shut down. The pressure to conform was suffocating, especially for young people whose entire social lives revolved around these platforms. Your generation, Jesus said gently, will face a choice no generation before has faced: to remain connected to the world system or to connect more deeply with me. Then the vision changed again, and hope broke through the darkness. I saw young people, many of them younger than me, standing firm in their faith. They weren't angry or defiant. They were radiant, full of peace and joy. They had found new ways to live, to connect, to thrive without the system's technology. Their courage and creativity inspired others, igniting a movement of faith that couldn't be silenced. This, Jesus said, his eyes filled with love, is the calling I've placed on your generation, to resist the deception and show the world what it means to truly live in me. I saw underground church gatherings springing up in unexpected places, Coffee shops, skate parks, and backyards, teenagers were teaching their parents and grandparents how to grow food in community gardens. Young artists and musicians were creating new forms of worship that didn't rely on digital platforms. They were proof that authentic connection and community don't need technology to thrive. This, Jesus said, his face radiant with love, is your generation's greatest purpose. In a world consumed by artificial connection, you will show them what true connection looks like. He showed me how young people would rise to lead, building alternative communities that thrived outside the system. We are the generation that understands networks and connection better than anyone else, and when we redirect those skills toward real-world relationships, incredible things will happen. But Jesus didn't just show me what's possible. He gave me a clear warning. The time to prepare is now. Tell your generation, he said. They don't have to wait until they're older to start building these communities and skills. Their understanding of technology isn't a weakness. It's a strength that will allow them to step away from the system with eyes wide open. Jesus gave me specific instructions for young people, messages that are crucial for what's ahead. 1. Start building real-world friendships now. Social media may be convenient, but it's no substitute for face-to-face connection. Practice being present with the people around you.
2. Learn practical skills. Start small. Cook a meal. Grow some herbs on your windowsill. Learn basic first aid. You don't need to become an expert overnight, but every skill you gain prepares you for independence. 3. Strengthen your spiritual foundation. Don't rely solely on what others have taught you about faith. Build your own relationship with God. Learn to pray, study the Bible, and seek truth for yourself. 4. Practice discernment. Question the technology you use daily. What is it doing to your mind, your relationships, your soul? Awareness is the first step to freedom. 5. Bridge generational gaps. Your parents and grandparents may not understand technology the way you do, but they know what it means to live without it. Teach them what's coming and in return, learn from their wisdom about resilience and real-world connection. The most powerful vision he showed me was of young people leading their families to Christ during times of great challenge. Your generation's apparent weakness, your dependence on technology, will become your strength, Jesus said. Because you understand it so well, you'll be the ones who reveal its dangers. Your familiarity with the digital world will make you powerful witnesses when you choose to step away from it. This wasn't just a warning, it was a call to action, a message of hope. Our generation is uniquely equipped for what lies ahead, but we must start preparing now. As my time with Jesus drew to a close, he showed me one final, unforgettable vision, his return. The glory of that moment made every earthly sacrifice pale in comparison. I saw the joy on the faces of those who had remained faithful, especially the young people who had chosen him over the world system. Remember, he said, his voice filled with both authority and love, you were born for such a time as this. Your generation is not too young or too digital to be used by me. You were chosen for this moment in history. And then I was pulled back. The heavenly music faded, and suddenly I was gasping for air on the pavement, surrounded by paramedics. They called my recovery a miracle. I had been clinically dead for over 7 minutes, yet I returned without any physical damage. Spiritually, though, I was completely transformed. Since that day, my purpose has been clear: to share what Jesus revealed, especially with my generation. Some dismiss me because of my age, but isn't it just like God to choose the young and underestimated for his greatest messages? To my generation, this is what I want you to know. You are not too young to take a stand. Your youth is your strength. You have the energy, creativity, and adaptability to lead in the times ahead. The choice we face won't be framed as good versus evil, but as convenience versus challenge, inclusion versus exclusion, progress versus resistance. Beneath it all, it will come down to one thing: choosing the world's counterfeit connection or true connection with God. 16 years old. I died for 7 minutes and 23 seconds. Jesus sent me back with a message: the choice is coming and the time to prepare is now. And our generation has been chosen for this moment. And with God's help, we will be ready.